What's going on, guys? This is Jeff Moulton. I'd like to welcome you to Moulton's Mind and Body. This is my first podcast, so bear with me a little bit as we go into this. The first thing I'd like to do, though, is to talk a little bit about my background so you guys get to know me a little bit, and then we'll kind of explain a little more about what the channel is, what you guys can expect, and kind of just what we're going to talk about moving forward in the topics with these channels. So, basically, with me, 28 years old, started out working out about 19. I was that thin, scrawny kid, and really just didn't have any confidence in myself. And it was kind of one of those things that, like, I think a lot of people go through, whether you're overweight or you're that thin, scrawny kid like myself, and you get picked on a little bit, you just don't fit in. You kind of friends with everyone a little bit, but never had a close group of friends. And for me, honestly, it started at 19 when I got out of high school. I walked into my first gym, and it was a Planet Fitness of all things. And it was crazy because with Planet Fitness, we went into there, me and my buddy Andy Gilvey, and we wanted to do a marathon, actually. So coming out of it, I was like, oh, I want to go to the gym, we'll get started. And I ended up wanting to do a marathon. So running on a treadmill, doing these crazy workouts, we ended up getting, I think, 7 or 8 miles on a treadmill. Shin splints, beat up, like joint pain, and it was just a mess, honestly. And about that 8 mile mark, it finally hit me. I was like, yeah, this is not for me, and this is like the last thing I want to do. So, after that, we, went into the gym and actually went to the weight section and started lifting weights a little bit. It started slow. We did like this crazy workout. I actually remember it. I think it was like a pull down, a bench press, and arms or something like that. And we did it like 2 days in a row and take a day off. It made no sense. But over time, we kind of got into it a little bit more and started to feel better and better and better until finally, I started to see some improvement. I started to feel better about myself. That first year was super experimental, but I could see that progress coming, and it just slowly felt better and better and better. And as I grew, mentally and physically from all that, I started to really get into it more and start helping people. And subconsciously, as I was helping people, people started to tell me like, oh, you should go to, you should start training, you should start going to this, you go to school, you could do all these different things. And honestly, for me, it was just like a hobby, and I enjoyed doing it. And at 20 years old, I got LASIK eye surgery, which for me was like life changing. The confidence grew, and the more confidence I had, the better I felt, and the more I wanted to pursue, training. Didn't go to school out of high school, so basically I worked a few part-time jobs, full-time jobs, and eventually I met this guy named Glenn Del Reyes at Retro Fitness, and it was cool because he's like worked with the Canadian Olympic team, did a biomechanics specialist, did things very different than like your average person. And honestly, for me, it was like this like life-changing moment kind of because I learned a lot and I read a lot and I watched a lot of videos online, but he kind of structured me in a way and opened my eyes to like how much different things were actually out there. And it was huge. So, I was with him. I worked kind of with him and worked out together with him for, I think, like 3 or 4 months. And then, our relationship grew, and he was basically like, hey, man, like, you're always helping people. You might as well go to school, get your certification. So I went to Berkshire Community College, did my, first year, got my cert, ended up doing to 2 years, did my associates. And, I was like, I honestly just didn't feel like I was at a point where, I don't know, like I didn't feel like that it wasn't enough. I guess that's the best way to say it. So, the long story short is, after talking to a few people there, decided to go to school to do my bachelor's. So I went to Springfield College, did my bachelor's in exercise science, and that was a grind. Going into it, I think my first year I was 24, and so I'm around all these kids that are younger, and my mentality was just different because being older, I was, I'm ready to get things together. So it was already a little different going into the school, because I had a different mentality, I would say, than most people. But, in the end, I went through the 2 years, and, I was an RA, and, I did all this stuff, and, I didn't have a car, so I just didn't commute, and I just ended up living on campus. So, basically, got through it, went through a lot of stuff along the way. We can talk about in another video, or podcast, I should say. But, got out of there, and we had to do a big internship for the program at Springfield. And what I figured out is, after going there, is I really wanted to work with general population. So basically, that middle, older age population, I could impact people more. And I think that was the biggest thing for me is I just, I wanted to work with athletes, I thought, but be able to impact, those type of people, I couldn't do as much necessarily compared to working with the general population. So I went to Equinox, ended up working for them for a short period of time. So I went to Boston, worked at Chestnut Hill Equinox for about 4 months, and it was okay. It was a long hours and a lot of work and not a lot of pay at first because you had to hustle to get your own clientele. So, it was tough, but through Equinox, I met one of my buddies, Kurt McClay, and he was a client of mine and offered me and able to move into his house because I was living in this little shack in Boston, and it was, absolutely grinding, if you want to say that. It was a shit shack, basically. And, he let me move into his gorgeous house in Chestnut Hill. He really bailed me out in my living situation. And from there, I met a friend of his named Bob Zandrowski, who's the owner of a Fitness Together in South End of Boston. And he had a trainer that left, so he opened up a trainer position for, to be a head trainer. And basically, he gave me the opportunity to own or run a studio down in Boston. So I moved in with Kurt, trained down in Boston, was a head trainer, and then he sold the studio, which gave me that opportunity I was saying to manage it and run it. So the owner was completely hands off for the most part, and I just ran the studio. We had 3 or 4 trainers, and they were a big part of helping me because I got kind of thrown into the fire. But I was there for 2 years. And then throughout all this, I was dating my now fiance, Bree, and we, were making it work, on weekends, just relationship stuff. So, after making it work for 2 years, she finished her program, and we decided that we were going to move to Western Mass, closer to family. And so I quit my job, got ready to move, and we both moved to Westfield, got a place out in Westfield. After a crunch of crazy months, she got her job at in Hartford, Connecticut, in a private cardiac sonography place, and now she's doing awesome. And now, I'm at Berkshire Community College, the irony of it, helping the students that, are going into the same field as me and kind of where I started, so I can really relate to them on that level. So it's good. I oversee the fitness center. I work with a lot of students. I teach some of the kids, fill in for some classes, and really it's kind of interesting how it ended up back there. Whether it's long term, I'm not sure. We'll see. But that's kind of my journey to where I am now. So that's it. That's my little story so far. So that being said, I want to talk a little bit more about this channel / podcast and kind of explain to where we're going to go with this. So my goal in making this podcast is to really, guys, is to impact as many people as I possibly can. I realized working at the school, in the fitness center and training, for the years I did, is that, I can impact, a good amount of people that come to the studio or come into the gym and come into the school. But I feel like I can just do more and help more people. So this podcast, the hope is that most of you, will learn something from it and take something from it, honestly. And, I'd like to have this be interactive. I'd like to be able, reach out to me. I'll give you my social medias and we can, do these podcasts around kind of what you guys are looking for, and also kind of, what questions you may have, honestly. And I have some things I'd like to talk about, from fitness, nutrition, to working out, to programming, to training, and honestly having some guests on that are very good at what they do in that field. The other thing is, with me is my goals, so, I'm a competitive guy, and I'm getting into Spartan racing. I was a professional bodybuilder, WMBF, it's a drug tested organization, so it's a natural drug free bodybuilder. I've always been competitive, and now I'm gonna get into Spartan races. So getting into those, anyone that's interested, I'd love to talk more about that. But that's something I'm looking at going forward too. And this channel is really honestly just about pushing people to do things that make them uncomfortable and just help them grow and learn along the way. I talk about it a lot, and I can't stand, honestly, man, I can't stand when people settle about these average lifestyles and just this settle for this 8 to 4 job. And, I'm not saying there's something wrong with it, but it's, if you're happy making whatever you're making and working your 8 to 4 and get to go home every night, then I'm happy for you, man. That's awesome. But for me, I just need so much more. I just want so much more. And so that's what a lot of this channel is about. It's honestly if you're happy, awesome. I don't know what I can do for you, but if I can help you, that's awesome. But for the people that need to be pushed a little bit, that need to go out of their comfort zone, that need someone to kind of be like a wake-up call, that's what this channel's for, and it's helping those people. So I love to talk more about all different topics and things moving forward. I love nutrition, I love fitness, and I love anything to do with mindset stuff. So that's gonna be the big thing of this channel. And moving forward, I'll do my best to help you guys out and honestly do what I can to make this channel what you guys think might be helpful. So that being said, I'm gonna wrap this up, make this beginning of the video a little shorter, just to give you a little idea where I am, where I came from, what you got plans moving forward to see. And if you have any questions, like I said, you can reach me on my Instagram. It's just Jeff_Moulton, I believe. I'll double check that. I think it's _Jeff Moulton. So we'll put that in. And also you can get me on Facebook. It's Jeff Moulton Fitness. It's my second page. I have my normal Facebook. The fitness page is going to be documenting all the Spartan race training, my day-and-day workouts, and things like that. So I'd like to make this podcast a weekly podcast, maybe twice. We'll see. This is only episode 1, and go from there. So anyway, I appreciate your time, guys. Moving forward, I expect to put this up once a week, and I'll talk to you guys real soon. And have a good rest of your night. Thanks, guys.